Bim! Guess what? We're live. It's just gone 8 o'clock. It is Saturday, and we've got a slightly truncated what a week that was this week, because I'm still quite busy working in the shop, but it's now December. It's the 2nd of December 2023, and we're going to look at the week's news. I'm going to have a quick look at American news, then we'll look at Australian news, and then we'll do some and finalists as well. I imagine it's probably going to take about an hour, so you want to fast forward to the bits that interest you. If you're Australian, a lot of Australians watch this, then just skip towards the end of the video and you will see it there. Anyway, if you're watching this live, I haven't done that yet because this is live, but if it's not live, then there's a possibility I've done that bit, so you can have a look and see what you think. Hi Alan, hope you're good. So we will start with breaking news, because we are broke the news. Apparently Wilko's is returning to the high street, and a couple of shops have already reopened. A few people are saying it's disgusting how that's allowed to happen, because they went bust and didn't pay anyone and everything, but a different company. It's the Range who now own Wilko's, so we'll see how many open up and how long it lasts for. I can't imagine long, because all the shops have been emptied of all their stock, so I don't quite know. It's going to cost a lot of money to stock them up again. But anyway, we'll see. Next up we've got news. No, something like that. EA Games are shutting down games in December. Leaning tower in Italy sealed off over fears it could collapse onto nearby buildings. Surely, I thought they'd straightened it up. Swine flu symptoms revealed for 2023 as outbreak hits UK. Dean O'Sullivan's obituary. Logan Sargent gets to keep his drive in Williams after his last couple of races. Yeah, that's it. Pro-Palestinian protesters sit to block the road. Police cars as 2 arrested at rally. UK to conduct surveillance flights over Israel and Gaza to help find hostages. Well, I imagine the hostages will be underground. Just saying. What else is going on? Ukraine blows up railway used to supply Russia with weapons from North Korea. That's a good one. I like that one. And I think that's it. Oh, tributes paid to selfless British soldier who died while off duty in Kenya. The MOD are not saying any more about that. It's a very strange thing. But anyway, we will see. Oh, here we go. We've got some talking. Hello, Angela. And we're saying hello to each other. So yeah, Angela and Alan, the two A's, have got AA with us at the moment. Like I did last week, I've not had a chance to get the pictures for the news, so I'll just do it like I did last week, because it kind of worked to a degree. We just had the day going past. So, oh, it's not Monday though, is it? What am I doing? It's Sunday, although I did it last week on a Sunday. But I didn't mention the Sunday news, because it was the week it was, and it's not the week that was, whether it was a week, was week. Don't forget to join in the chat, put your opinion across as well if you agree or disagree. So Sunday 26th of November 2023 saw Terry Venables passing away, a famous football manager at the age of 80. El Tel, when he went to Spain. He was also the manager of England football team for a while, and he seemed a decent chap, to be fair. 17 hostages released by Hamas and 30 Palestinians. Ceasefire could be extended, because we were still in the ceasefire on Sunday. And there's an anti-Semitism march in London, which I agree with. I agree with anti-Semitism being an awful, nasty, yucky thing. And yeah, people marching against that, yeah, absolutely fine with that. 27th, which is Monday, 2 more days of ceasefire agreed. Hamas has been reversing attacks near border and posting on social media for 3 years. Oh, that was it. Hamas have been rehearsing their attack for 3 years and posting footage of their attack whilst Israel is on their YouTube channel. or whatever, Telegraph, whatever it is. And yeah, Israel still didn't do anything about it. I still think, and hopefully it'll all come out one day, that Israel thought we need to get rid of Hamas, we need to get rid of the Palestinians, we need to get Gaza as part of Israel, so we'll let Gaza, Hamas do this, and then we'll just destroy them. And that's exactly what they're doing. It's called ethnic cleansing. Doctors nearing an agreement with the government over pay. We'll have to wait and see how that one went. And a diplomatic spat over the Elgin Marbles. Over the Elgin Marbles, as Rishi Sunak decides not to meet the was it President or the Prime Minister of Greece, after he'd said that he wanted the Parthenon sculptures back, which is what they call it. We call them the Elgin Marbles. Either way, I don't see what the problem is of giving them back as long as they can look after them. And we can easily put them in a scanner and replicate them exactly as they are now. And then people could go look at the replicas in the museum, and the real ones could be in Greece, where they were stolen from. Everyone's happy. I mean, yeah, when you see a dinosaur, you don't really see a dinosaur, do you? But you're still going to see it. Yeah, just saying. Brings us nicely to Tuesday. Someone likened me. Someone said I was right-wing this week. I found that very offensive. Someone else called me left-wing. I found that even more offensive, to be fair. Tuesday, the 28th of November. Now more than 80 released by Hamas during the pause in the war. The row is escalating even further over the Elgin Marbles. Former boss of Wilko's said they had let down everyone involved, including the staff and their suppliers, the landlords and everything. Court hears of one of 16-year-olds who killed Brianna had a plan in her book in a bedroom. This is the two 15-year-olds who killed the trans girl Brianna earlier on this year, and apparently it had been planned. They even had texts sent to each other about it. Absolutely disgusting. I hope they get everything they deserve. And 41 men finally rescued from the tunnel in India after, I think it was 17 days or something daft like that, stuck in a tunnel. Basically, they were building a tunnel, a road tunnel, and there was a collapse within it, and they were trapped between the face of the rock where they were working and the exit, and they couldn't get out. No one had built an escape tunnel for them. Anyway, they've been finally rescued, and not one of them was injured. Quite good. Oh, JT's on. Hi, JT and Rachel. Hope you are well too. That brings us rather lovely to Wednesday. Now, Wednesday, got fat fingers. Wednesday the 29th. A lot went on Wednesday the 29th. It was a busy day. And the first thing that went was more prisoners, swaps, and the ceasefire will continue in the West Bank. Tensions ramped up. Over 8-year-olds murdered by Israel troops in West Bank. Oh yeah, yeah. The Israel troops, not only are they fighting in Gaza, they're also going into the West Bank and shooting people, children very often, just killing them just because they can. But they shouldn't be able to. It's war crimes. The whole thing is war crimes. Ethnic cleansing is war crimes. What Israel is doing to the innocent people of Palestine is a war crime. There's no way around it. I mean, at the moment, on Wednesday, it was still a ceasefire. But obviously that's finished now. War crimes have continued. And the world's just letting them do it. I'm like, no, this is not right. The 4 teenagers who were killed tragically after their car crashed on a Welsh road died after drowning. Their car was upside down, found 4 days or 2 days later upside down in a river. Nottingham City Council declares it's near enough bankrupt, and 2 men die after falling into the canal at Wigan. Horrendous story. A gentleman with learning difficulties and his carer both ended up in the water. And obviously it's freezing at the moment, and they were both rescued, but sadly were both pronounced dead when they arrived at hospital. That brings us to Thursday, but I'll be honest with you, Thursday is not the right name for it this week. It should be Celeb Death Day, because we lost Shane MacGowan, 65, lead singer of the Pogues, most famous for the Fairy Tale of New York song with the late Kirsty MacColl, who died many years ago, tragically as well. Henry Kissinger's dead, aged 100, former politician for the USA, and seemed a decent guy as well, compared to the current politicians that we've got in the USA anyway. Alistair Darling, he was 70, he died as well. He was the Chancellor of the Exchequer for the Labour government, and again, although they didn't do very well looking after the money, he always seemed like he was trying to do the right thing, and everyone seemed to like him. He was one of them few politicians that everyone seemed to have time for him, but he sadly passed away. And Dean Sullivan, who was 68, he was an actor, most famous for playing Jimmy Corkill in the TV soap on Channel 4 called Brookside, which spawned Hollyoaks as a kind of sort of spin-off. Hollyoaks is still going now. Brookside was taken off the air many years ago. So yeah, Thursday the 30th of November was definitely a celebrity death day. Thoughts and prayers with all the families of those involved. But Thursday itself did actually begin to have some proper news. They must have been terrified in the tunnel, yes. Yeah, thankfully they could get air and food to them fairly quickly. Hence, none of them were, well, none of them lost their lives. The car thing was horrendous as well, and all the people who've died, the Pogues, yeah. I mean, we only ever know really two songs, which is obviously the Fairy Tale of New York, you scumbag, you maggot, you cheap lazy maggot, and all that kind of thing, and that's well, basically the drinking one, where it's just going red kind of thing. I don't know the words to it because my brain's gone blank. I had a migraine today, so whenever I have a migraine, my brain's a bit fuzzy for a day or two afterwards. Anyway, back to Thursday. Will ceasefire end tomorrow? USA say there should be no repeat of the massacre of civilians if war recommences. Hancock was at the COVID inquiry, says there was a toxic culture looking to blame him and others. Now, I'm not a Hancock fan, as you may be aware. I don't know many people who would admit to being a Hancock fan. He was quite good in I'm a Celebrity to get me out of here. But other than that, the guy's a complete melon. However, fair play to all the politicians who were in the situation of power at the time of COVID anywhere in the world. We'd never had a national, international pandemic. We'd never had lockdowns. We'd never had all this problems that we had. And yeah, mistakes were made, obviously. Stupid mistakes were made. But hopefully, in the long term, if anything else like this happens again, which apparently it will do, the government of the time will learn from the lessons of Boris and his bunch, as well as what went on with Trump and his lot, and what went on in Australia and what went on in various other countries as well, where they completely messed it up. But like I say, given the benefit of the doubt, it was the first time anything like this had happened anywhere worldwide. So yeah, these things do seem to hopefully be a lesson learnt. However, people are always trying to blame someone for something. I'm surprised they didn't blame him for COVID in the first place. But anyway, there was a deal at the COP28 to give money to countries who've been affected by climate change, and the thing is going on in the UAE, which is bonkers because they're like one of the least climate protecting countries on the planet. But anyway, possible takeover of the Telegraph by an Abu Dhabi family is being looked into. Telegraph newspaper, and associated outlets are up for sale, and apparently an Abu Dhabi family looking at buying it. Now, bearing in mind the human rights of people in Abu Dhabi and all that kind of thing, I think that wouldn't necessarily be a good thing. But none of our newspapers these days seem to be run by people who are actually decent. I mean, yeah. I can't think of anyone who actually runs a newspaper who's actually alright. Mind you, I don't know many people who run newspapers. There was Eddie Shaw back in the day who did that Today newspaper, which was the first ever colour newspaper. It lasted for a couple of years, and it was funny because it was when the front page was in colour. It was the only newspaper to have colour front pages at the time, and it always looked like it was one of them 3D. You had to wear 3D glasses to look at it because they were always everything was slightly out of place. It was jolly amusing. Even at the time, we thought it was funny. But we're not allowed to say that anymore now, are we? So I apologise if you're offended by me laughing. Saturday came. No, it didn't. It was Friday, wasn't it? Friday came, as it generally does, after a Thursday. It was the 1st of December 2023, and to be fair, no one knew how to handle it. COVID, yes, exactly. But there's no excuse if it happens again. And I said at the time, if you were watching my vlogs and whatnot at the time of COVID and it starting, I say a lot that we were too late in doing lockdowns. We were too late in closing borders with countries that had outbreaks. What was the point of saying, South Africa's got this really dangerous COVID that's developed there, so we're going to close direct contact to South Africa a week next Wednesday. I mean, seriously? But anyway, we've moved on. Hopefully we've learned from it. So, what's up with you, Silence? You're meant to be quiet, that's why I called you Silence. There'll be some shocking footage of Silence on my... Oi! What is up? It's on windowsill and she's going, meow. Maybe she can see something outside that she wants to eat, like a bird or something. But the 1st of December's come along. The weather's gone absolutely freezing. And what was that say? Oh, fighting resumes in Gaza. Hey! Okay. Fighting resumes in Gaza. Israel claims it sits over 200 targets as leaflets tell people to move to Rafah, which is basically the border with Egypt, as they basically, like a tube of toothpaste from northern Gaza, have just sent the people further and further south, like you do when you're squeezing out a toothpaste tube, to get all the Palestinians even, out of Gaza so that they can take it over. And they keep saying we're not doing that, but it's obvious to anyone who's watching this, apart from governments, who just say, yeah, go on, carry on doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job there, killing babies and children and innocent families and old people. Yeah, destroy Hamas. Hamas are a terrorist organisation. What they did is unforgivable, beyond unforgivable. They deserve everything they get, but the people of Palestine do not. And I still say Israel are using this ethnic cleansing in order to gain territory for themselves. And yeah, I don't blame the Israelis. I just blame the power-mad, power-hungry leaders. And we knew as soon as Netanyahu got back in again that poo was going to hit the spinny thing, because that's all. He's a warmonger, and that's all he does. And this was his perfect opportunity. Right, we'll pretend we don't know that Hamas is going to attack us. We'll let them attack us. We'll let them kill a few people, in this case over 1,000. They can become martyrs, and we will avenge their deaths by destroying everyone in Gaza. And that's exactly what they're doing. And if anyone says any different, they're wrong. I'm not supporting Hamas in any way. I'm only supporting the innocent people and children of Palestine, who are being, the kids in particular, you see them on the videos when the dad's been killed and they're stroking the dad's face, kissing the dad who's dead, who's about to be buried. And you can see the pain in their faces, and that pain is going to come back, and that pain is they're going to try and destroy Israel. All they're doing is creating the next generation. You might destroy Hamas, but the next generation of kids are coming along, and they will create something else which they feel they must avenge their parents, their fathers, grandparents, brothers, sisters, deaths that are going on at this exact moment. How you fix this, I've no idea, but something's got to give. And unfortunately, Israel, as long as they're involved, it's never going to give, at least as long as Netanyahu's involved. War criminal, only word for it. You can agree with me, you can disagree with me, But if you think about it, it is. And I am not in any way, shape or form defending Hamas. They are terrorists, they need to be destroyed, but not at the expense of innocent people in Gaza. I've said it, I say it every week. And you think, God's sake, surely someone would realise. Anyway, yeah, and just to hammer it home, the Israelis said that Hamas will be hit with, or given, a mother of all thumpings. I saw a video before I came up tonight of what looked like apartment blocks, a row of apartment blocks. And the furthest one, there's wasteland in between, just normal wasteland, nothing, you know, no rubble or anything, just wasteland. And at the far end, there was a massive explosion outside one of these apartment blocks. And then the next thing you see is the next apartment block gets hit. And then the next apartment block gets hit. That is ethnic cleansing. That is murdering civilians. That is a war crime. Full stop. Hamas are war criminals. Hamas are terrorists. Israel are committing war crimes using the excuse of what Hamas did. Well, they're using the excuse of killing Hamas. Again, like I say, you can agree, you can disagree. That is entirely your choice. But, well, I'm right. Rishi Sunak says Britain is the leader in reducing global global what? Global carbon emissions. Yeah, but we're also tiny. We could, as I've said before, we could literally stop using carbon and it wouldn't make a jot of difference to the entire planet. It wouldn't make a jot of difference to the UK. We are so insignificant. We have ideas above our station just because we ruled the world years ago, a lot of the world anyway, along with Spain and Portugal and various other countries as well. He went to the COP28 on a private jet and he was there for 12 hours. King Charles, he flew there on a private jet as well, as did a certain Keir Starmer. Now what the he's doing there, I have no idea. But anyway, he went there as well. So they're all there. They've all flown there to the UAE to talk about reducing carbon emissions. You couldn't ride it, could you? Pontins closes 2 sites, Prestatyn and Camber Sands, with immediate effect without giving any notification whatsoever as to why they've done it. Now, the company itself used to be massive back in the day before people could go on charter holidays for less to Spain and places like that, along with Butlins as well. So over the years, the holiday camps have reduced dramatically. I think they had 40 odd, now they've got less than 10. They've certainly got less than 10 now anyway. I think they've got about 4. And rumour has it that they're going to be used for migrants. But it's only rumour, we don't know yet. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Because, well, anything is possible, isn't it, these days? And that brings us up to Saturday, which, funnily enough, is today this week, whereas it was yesterday last week, because I did this on Sunday, because I was knackered on Saturday. Israel pull out of the peace talks while continuing their ethnic cleansing in Gaza. Yeah, like I say, they're sending leaflets and telling people to go to places. The people go there and then they get bombed while they're there all in groups. And I've said before, and this is controversial, I agree, but what's the difference between that and using trains? A man dies in a gas explosion in Scotland. He was a neighbour of a house that blew up, and 2 people from the house were seriously injured or in the hospital as well. There was also a gas explosion, or a possible gas explosion as well, in the northwest, although I don't think anyone was killed or injured in that. At COP28, treble renewable energy by 2030, say a lot of the countries that's signed, and the UK say we're going to treble nuclear power by 2050, because you can't build nuclear power stations quickly, but they are the only way forward, I'm afraid. Nuclear power stations do not rely on the weather. They are just there all the time. So what's the point of having these lovely massive fields full of solar panels when at this time of year it's dark for 14 hours a day? Makes no sense. Whereas a nuclear power station, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they're a lot safer now than what they were back in the day. And certainly we won't get Russia building it, or Ukraine. And then ASLEF have said they are going to start new strikes. In fact, they even started one today over their pay and conditions. It was a bit of a shocker. But that brings us to America. And of course, we have to ask the question, what's going on in America? I want to know what's in America. There's lots of stuff in America, but we're not covering gun crime in America. Biden repeats the same story, word for word, just minutes apart, raising fresh concerns about his age, fitness, and fitness for office. Who knew? Who knew? Yeah, you see, you learn something new every day. Every day, it's a school day. This was hilarious. Elon Musk went to visit Israel, and they basically give him a child's bulletproof vest. I have solar panels, makes me over £1,000 a year plus free electricity. Yeah, but they're not working now, are they? Yeah. No. Elon Musk squeezed into a bulletproof vest to accompany Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on a tour of a kibbutz ravaged by Hamas attacks on October the 7th, as the tech mogul fights off claims he's anti-Semitic after scrambling to correct his endorsement of anti-Semitic conspiracy theory with a series of X posts insisting he wishes a prosperous and exciting future for all. What's wrong with that? We don't want the Israelis being miserable either, but we want everyone to just get on with their lives and live a happy life. More than 300 migrants hunkered down at San Diego airport. It's grown exponentially. The San Diego International Airport has become overrun with migrants waiting for flights out of the area, with more than 300 hunkering down there last week, including some who sat on the floor for days. It's grown exponentially and we're not totally sure why, said Christine Johnson, Christelle Johnson, a volunteer with We All We Got. That really makes sense. Sorry, that just threw me. Streaker arrested after parading around Disneyland's It's a Small World ride naked. Now, I must admit, if I did that, they wouldn't say it was just a small world. They say it's a small world. Anyway, an unhinged, no, that's probably unkind, Disneyland guest was arrested after he was filmed tearing off his clothes and crawling around the iconic It's a Small World ride in front of terrified riders. The unidentified 26-year-old was filmed in his boxers, climbing over the animatronic figures and sitting in a representation of the Taj Mahal as a flying carpet circled overhead. Stop, I need you to stop, one staff member could be heard screaming at the guy, who then took his boxer shorts off, and why not? The funny thing was, you know Luke Marsden, if you're a Wiganer, you'll know who Luke Marsden is. He opened the Games and More shop, level 4, and we have a bit of banter with him occasionally on Wigan Watchers. He's actually in America, and he's actually in Disneyland, so I asked if it was him who was doing it, and all I got was what do you think, and lots of smiley faces. So I don't think it was. Plus he's older than 26, so it definitely wasn't. Pro-Palestinian protesters blocked Manhattan Bridge and call for ceasefire. Obviously this is well, I don't think it's before the ceasefire, but it's certainly during the ceasefire, and asked for it to continue, because it wasn't a ceasefire, was it? It was a pause. Pro-Palestinian protesters halted traffic in New York City on Sunday by descending at the foot of Manhattan Bridge and demanding ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Hundreds of protesters sat down on the heavily trafficked East River overpass and held their fist in the air while shouting "Let Gaza live" and wearing shirts that read "Ceasefire now." He looked like a young Weird Al. He did a little bit, the streaker. But I still think it was funny. Man busted for climbing 80-storey crane at New York City construction site. A knucklehead, Daredevil, was arrested and charged with scaling to the top of a towering 80-storey crane at Tribeca construction site, according to police. Isaiah Washington, 20, was charged with reckless endangerment and criminal trespassing shortly before 8:30 a.m. I think people are daft enough to do that, particularly in this weather as well, because that metal's cold. You don't want to be touching that. Grinch stands outside elementary school with Santa is fake sign, angering parents and scaring kids. Santa is fake, Jesus is real. Alright. Disclaimer, well, not a disclaimer, but if you don't want to know the truth, mute me for a minute or two or go somewhere else. They're both fake. Right, next. New Jersey lawsuit challenges New York's congestion toll will delay upgrades on the AC train lines. New Jersey's lawsuit challenging the New York soon-to-launch congestion toll will delay the $1.3 billion program to overhaul and upgrade signals on the delay-plagued AMC lines through Brooklyn. Doesn't say exactly why, but yeah, it's interesting that they are doing a clean air zone thing there. Iowa Lottery posted wrong Powerball numbers. I mean, it's not difficult to post a number that you see coming out of a machine, unless of course it's all fake. Iowa Lottery posted wrong Powerball numbers, but temporary winners get to keep the money. Powerball losers in Iowa are actually winners for about 7 hours this week after the state's lottery mistakenly posted the wrong winning numbers for the game. Lottery officials blamed an unspecified human reporting error for the wrong numbers being posted for Monday night's Powerball drawing. Yeah, it just proves that it's all complete con, doesn't it? Mind you, most things are these days. Foreign-born population of US tops 49 million for the first time ever. Well, it's hardly going to have topped 49 million 100 years ago, is it? Nearly 50 million people living in the US were born in another country, according to a shocking new report. A new study by the Center for Immigration Studies found 49.5% million people, around 15% of the 330 million population, were originally born in another country. And I think Ivana Trump is one of those. You know, Donald Trump's wife. Crematorium workers finds a 19-year-old woman alive after being pronounced dead. A crematorium worker in Brazil got the shock of his life when he went into a hospital morgue to collect the body of a deceased 90-year-old woman, only to find that she was still alive, according to reports. The nightmarish incident occurred in the city of San Jose just hours after staff at the hospital pronounced Norma Silveira da Silva dead. The woman was zipped into a body bag and sent down to the morgue. It's not the first time this has happened, but I suppose you consider how many people have died in between, it's probably not that many. Two Palestinians opened fire at Jerusalem bus stop, killing 3 police. Hamas has taken responsibility for a deadly mass shooting that carried out by the crowded bus stop in Jerusalem during the Thursday morning rush hour. Now, it says there 2 Palestinians opened fire. No, 2 Hamas terrorists opened fire. There is a difference. And that is stoking and balancing off and letting Israel get away with stuff because they're saying it's the Palestinians. No, these are Hamas terrorists who are doing this. They did get killed, and rightly so. But you can't blame Palestinians, normal Palestinians, for this. But it gives Israel another excuse to go around murdering children and the elderly, doesn't it? Decorated Russian general blown up on landmine in Ukraine, possibly planted by another Russian army unit. A decorated Russian military commander was killed in Ukraine after being blown up on a landmine that may have been planted by another unit battling Kyiv's forces. Major General Vladimir Zelensky, 45, deputy commander of the 14th Army Corps, died, according to a social media post from the Moscow Higher Combined Arms Command School, Zelensky. So yes, it's a shame, isn't it? Not really. War crimes, isn't it? It's nice to know that, you know, even they're getting their own people. Army vet 94 kicked out of New York City nursing home to make room for migrants. Getting picture salt, maybe? A 94-year-old US Army veteran is blasting his Staten Island assisted living home for kicking him out to make room for migrants, saying it's not fair and he was sent packing. Frank Tamaro was given less than 2 months' notice that he and 50 other seniors would have to move out of the Island Shores residence and had to make other living arrangements. Yeah, it's not nice. Especially when you're 93. And if it is true, that's what they've done, then that's really bad. Cat is going mental, I don't know what's going on. Jimmy Carter plans to attend as family presidents and first ladies celebrate Rosalind Carter's life. She will be memorialised with classical music and beloved hymns, some of her favourite biblical passages, and a rare gathering of all living US first ladies and multiple presidents, including her 99-year-old husband Jimmy Carter. Reported on her passing last week. Have you got any writing? No. Well, he didn't fall out of a window. No, that is true, Alan. You're right. We're on about the Russian general. Russian college students asked to donate vapes so parts can be used to make drones to attack Ukraine. Now, I'm not an expert on these things, but I'm pretty sure there's coal in a vape that can be used in a drone, especially a once-use vape. But anyway, Russian college students have been asked to donate their used vapes to the country's military so parts from the e-cigarettes can be used to make combat drones to attack Ukraine, according to a report. Yeah, I think that's just propaganda from the other side, either Ukraine or the United States, whatever, but that's absolute nonsense. As it was in World War II when they cut down all the fences around parks, public parks, and outside people's houses and everything to melt it down for the war effort, when, to be fair, that metal couldn't be used for anything else because it wasn't that kind of metal that they could use in shells. But it made the British people feel part of the war and felt like they were doing their bit. It was psychological. This would be the same thing, because it's I mean, if Russia's relying on bits of vapes to attack another country, I mean, Jesus Christ. She's all right. She's sat now quietly. She's just sat quietly. Bill Ackman says Biden passed his peak and urges him to drop out of the 2024 race. That's one way to stop kids vaping. Yeah, that's a good point, Sean. Never thought of that. Billionaire hedge fund manager Bill Ackman thinks President Biden should call it quits. He's not the only one. I think everyone in the world thinks that Biden should call it quits because, well, he's dangerous. Russian TV hyped to broadcast Zelensky's speech vowing to liberate Crimea. Pro-Ukrainian saboteurs hacked into Russian television channels in Crimea overnight to air President Vladimir Zelensky's speech vowing to liberate the occupied peninsula in further humiliation to Russian President Vladimir Putin's regime. The pranksters, renamed all 20 channels in Crimea's IPTV network to Putin is Ed, as seen in videos shown online. But Putin is Russian drone sponsored by Totally Wicked. Yeah, manufactured by Totally Wicked. It's just bonkers, isn't it? A miracle 70-year-old births twins, becoming one of the world's oldest new mums. Now, it's interesting that someone who's aged 70 can actually have babies and she give birth to twins, but it's cruel on the babies because she's 70. By the time they're 10, chances are they won't have a mum anymore. A video shows smuggler cutting down part of border wall to make way for one-legged Peruvian man. Nope, that's what it says. Brazen people smugglers were filmed using power tools to cut down a section of the 30-foot steel border wall in Arizona, then toting a camera crew on the other side as they waved a one-legged man and his family through. An identified coyote, the Mexican term for border smuggler, knelt as he used a power tool to break part of the gate open to let an elderly man in. I mean, I'm not laughing he's got one leg, but I mean, come on. What's the world coming to? George Santos expelled. What it means and what will happen next? Well, it means they've got rid of a head in the Senate. So it means that there's less dickheads in the Senate. So it's a good thing. Lying Republican George Santos becomes 6th member expelled from the House in history. By George, lying Long Island Republican George Santos became the 6th member of to be expelled from the US House of Representatives on Friday, a little more than a year after he won election, despite fabricating much of his personal and professional history, lying about his campaign's finances and defrauding donors. Basically, a crook. They've spotted that one. They haven't spotted Trump yet, though, have they? Well, some might say Biden as well. Rediscovers vintage Nintendo Sega games from shuttered 90s Nebraska store, could fetch 6-figure payday. More than 150 vintage video games stashed away in a storage in the 1990s could lead to a six-figure payday for a Nebraska man who owns the collection. The Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis and Mega Drive games, once on sale at Omaha Video Game Store that closed in 1998, are yet again on the market after they were recently certified, sending video game lovers into a fever pitch. Basically, they were unsold items, so as you can see from the picture there, you can just about make it out, they are all still sealed, which increases the value tremendously. And then if they're graded as well and put in plastic sealed units, then they are going to be stupid amounts of money. Israel had a mass attack plan year before October 7th invasion, but official dismissed as imaginative report. So this is Israelis saying, well, we knew nothing about this, nothing at all. They practiced for many times near the border. They posted their videos on YouTube and Telegraph and things like that. And we have drones over there, we have satellites over there, we have the ring of fire that protects us from them, and we never noticed it. When they did it, we had to get our own back, so we are destroying Hamas by, yeah, it's absolute bull. And the Israeli government should all be put on trial. Prison time for Florida teen who beat teacher over Nintendo Switch. Would be a death sentence, his mum says. I'm sorry, but the mother of hulking Florida teen who beat his female teacher unconscious over a Nintendo Switch video game claimed prison time would be a death sentence for her convicted son. I'm sorry, if you beat your teacher unconscious because she's told you cannot play a Switch in class, you deserve to go to prison for a very long time. If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Henry Kissinger once called Washington's greatest swinger and dated several celebs as a younger man. He was a bit of jack around town, was he? Old Henry Kissinger. That's why he was called Injure. I'll never do that again. It made me feel a bit... Russian Supreme Court outlaws LGBTQ activism in a landmark ruling. Russian Supreme Court effectively outlawed LGBTQ plus activism on Thursday, the most drastic step against advocates of gay, lesbian and transgender rights in the increasingly conservative country. Ruling in response to a lawsuit filed by Justice Ministry, the court labelled what the suit called the LGBTQ plus movement operating in Russia as an extremist organisation and banned it. Yeah. What about the president? If he's still alive. I mean, talk about, hiding your true self. North Korea says interference in its satellites would be a Rainbow Road will do that to you. Oh yes, you're on about aren't you? Switch, yeah, Mario Kart. North Korea says interference in its satellites would be declaration of war. North Korea said on Saturday, today, it would consider any interference with its satellite operations as a threat of war and would mobilise its war defences if any attack against its strategic assets were imminent. Pyongyang would respond to any US interference in space by eliminating the viability of US spy satellites. So basically, they are taking the next world war into space. It's a shame they can't get much up there, isn't it? Iowa mum loses legs and needs facial reconstruction surgery after being mauled by 3 pit bulls. An Iowa mother lost both her legs, parts of her hands, and will need facial reconstruction surgery after she was mauled by 3 pit bulls last week. The dogs pounced on Brittany's school around 11:30 a.m. outside her home in Fort Dodge, a city 100 miles west of Des Moines. I've heard of Fort Dodge, I've heard of Des Moines. Horrific dog attacks. I mean, people say, oh, dogs are lovely. It's not the dog's fault generally. It's usually they've been trained badly or not trained at all. And they are pack animals, that's what they do. But you very rarely hear of a, pussycat savaging anyone, do you? 15 synagogues in New York City area received false bomb threats, say officials. 15 synagogues in the metro region received false bomb threats early Friday, including 5 houses of worship in Upper Manhattan and 2 in Brooklyn, according to the NYPD and Jewish Security Agency. Threats were emailed to 5 synagogues on the Upper East Side and Upper West Sides, as well as Hudson Heights and Manhattan between 5:15 and 6 a.m, warning of explosives inside the buildings. Now, as I've said many times, even today, I disagree completely with the way Israel is handling the situation in Gaza, and I think there's ulterior motives. However, there's no excuse for making bomb threats to synagogues in a completely different country where people are living in peace. So yeah, hopefully they find the people who've done that and get them. What's his war defences? 4 blokes with AK-47s. Yeah, and they're floating around in space. He couldn't afford the suits, so they just stay up there. Biden administration proposes replacement of approximately 9 million lead pipes over the next 10 years. So basically, not only now do we have to electrify the whole planet for these electric cars, which is a complete waste of time, but Biden has now said he's going to do 9 million lead pipes, which are very long lead pipes. He's going to replace them with copper pipes, so we need even more copper, so we're even more damaging to the environment. Well done, Biden, you're such a pillock. And that ends the news for America. Or does it? Well, yeah, it does actually. Which brings us nicely to Australia. Not a lot going on in Australia this week due to the fact that I've been busy, still sorting the shop out and everything. So we'll have a quick look at Australia. All right, mate. How's about this for a look? There was no one in the passenger seat when this car crashed, and basically, yeah, took out the oh, she's in a box. Took out the headrest of the passenger seat, because thankfully in Australia, mate, they drive on the same side of the road as us, so that was the passenger seat. Having said that, if it had been in America, it had been on the other side of the road, so it would have completely missed the car. But yeah, lucky escape. Importing single-use vapes is going to be banned in Australia from January. Again, just ban them straight away. What is the point of waiting until January? Constable charges upgraded to manslaughter. You remember the police officer who tasered a 95-year-old woman in a home who was holding a knife. A 95-year-old woman holding a knife. He tasered her. She fell and banged her head and passed away a couple of days later. He's now being charged with manslaughter. I would upgrade it to murder, I'll be honest with you. A deer goes for a kangaroo goes for a swim in the sea. It's just a funny video. Justin Jones, the Sovereign Borders Commander, Rear Admiral, has said, let me be clear, anyone who attempts to illegally migrate to Australia by boat will be stopped, returned to their country of origin or point of departure. Yes, could return to their country of origin or point of departure. That's how you deal with it, Rishi. That's how you deal with it, Suella. That's how you deal with it, Lord Cameron. You just send them back to the point of departure. It's international law. You are just making a problem for the rest of us by letting these people stay in this country who are not legally entitled to be here. Which leads us to the and finally. I know, I've rattled through it today, haven't we? We've been in for 48 minutes. But like I said, it's a bit truncated this week because I've been preoccupied doing other stuff. So we'll start off with a really cute Banksy. We like a Banksy, look at that. He does sculptures as well, you know. I don't know what that's about. It's just cuddly animals looking out of a truck. I mean, that's basically it. Putin. We're not done much about Putin this week, so let's have a gamble with Putin. Crazy Putin unveils own AI bot that will win wars and manipulate elections. Tech experts are warning Vladimir Putin will use soon-to-be redeveloped Russian artificial intelligence to rig election and hide his warmongering ways as he believes Western AI is dangerous. I agree with him. My God, I agree with Vladimir Putin, or whoever it is, because he's dead, isn't he? We know that. But yeah, I agree with whoever it was that AI is dangerous. Well, they're not illegal migrants if they live in Australia. And neither are if you fly over there. It's people who go over on boats. Amazingly, people go there on boats. US, China and Russia in covert race to recover crashed UFOs, say whistleblower. Exposing the truth about alien spacecraft would be bring humanity together, expert David Grush says. But instead the world superpowers are competing to learn the most about their tech. Yeah, just because aliens don't exist. I tried No Nut November. The impact it had on my body was surprising. This bloke has paid £500 to participate in the No Nut November, where men abstain from ejaculation for the entire month, which I don't think is physically possible, I'll be honest with you. But after stumbling at the hurdle, he's willing to hold on for another month. I think even if you don't, I think the body still does it anyway. So I don't see the point for a month. Now this was hilarious. This was on ITV News. I think it was. It must have been. What's it called? Not Switch. What's it called? Twitch? No. What's it called? Snapchat. Snapchat. Hang on. What's going on? Alright, okay. The streaker was arrested at Disneyland after taking off clothes inside its A Small World ride. You'd think you go for like the Mammoth ride or something like that, wouldn't you? But anyway, you can just see his face there in between the police officers. And as it walks past, they've actually blurred out his bottom. But obviously because he's being held with his body facing the ground, they've had to do another little one underneath his body as well because his bits would be hanging down. Tell you what, you've got to have some balls to do that, haven't you? This made me laugh. This is the section where I just laugh at things. I can't believe it's been 3 years since I visited the Louvre in Paris. Can't wait to go travelling again. Yes, it's one of the Astors, which looks like the Louvre. Another Banksy. We like Banksy. Graffiti's a crime, and the kids nicking the aerosol off the painting. I think this is about Putin's speech. Putin is a dickhead. Heard in TV hacks as Zelensky states Crimea is ours. The hack means messages calling Vladimir Putin a dickhead were broadcast along messages from Vladimir Zelensky promising to drive Russia out of the occupied Black Sea Peninsula. See, the problem is Russia's built a rod for its own back now, and yeah, I think they will get it. I was in a woman's prison. Inmates would pull up a chair and watch me shower. A mum who was locked up for drug peddling says her 5 years behind bars, where she was hooked up with a girlfriend and got prison tattoos, ironically saved her life. So who knew prison was a good thing? It's 70-year-old mother again, via IVF to become the oldest to do in Africa. So it was IVF, which kind of makes more sense, I suppose. Putin's body double with wandering cheekbones blamed for Kurz tirade. A group of young female Russian scientists appear to have an enjoyable visit from President Vladimir Putin, or his body double. But apparently the feeling wasn't mutual, and he called them various nasty names. Meanwhile, the Mexican aliens are definitely not human, and have 30% DNA of unknown species. Yeah. Deep fake. Brits face brace for temperatures as low as -10, as UK could be colder than Iceland. Well, remember, Iceland's got a volcano erupting at the moment, so that's increasing the temperature there. World leader body doubles as Putin slammed for sinking movable cheekbones. Despite Putin using a bloke with plastic surgery as his official lookalike, sounding like the stuff of wacky dystopian movie, it's not unheard of for world leaders to have body doubles. Yeah, I mean, it just gets everyone fat, does Kim Jong-un. Looks like E.T., exactly. Fuming Putin, or not, rants world wants to dismember Russia, but he vows to fight back. The world was quite happy with Russia, because it was being quiet and behaving itself. And now you've started this war, or the late president started this war, then yeah, people don't want you around anymore. A bloke got stuck in Lincoln's glory hole and caused utter chaos in city. A man had to be rescued from Lincoln's Glory Hole after his boat got stuck under the bridge and caused utter chaos as it was narrower than he thought it was. Don't worry folks, the Glory Hole is a bridge tunnel and his boat was wider than he thought it was and it got stuck. China may have thrown scientists who found COVID off a building, say US experts. Dr. Zun Yusen, the man who discovered the coronavirus, may have been killed by the Chinese government after an accidental leak of the virus which spawned the 2020 pandemic, an expert claims. Yeah, the old famous, oh, he accidentally fell off a building. No space sex as astronauts at higher risk of erectile dysfunction, story says. You think they'd be at less risk because there's less, the blood would be able to flow around quicker. But anyway, I'm not an expert. And finally, UK faces up to 5 centimetres of snow as expert issue cold weather alerts. Yeah, so be warned, it is going to snow, and it's going to snow badly, and we're all going to get snowed on, and then we'll be snowed up, and snow and stuff. Which brings us back to the old famous breaking news. And the breaking news was, I watched Doctor Who tonight, which is the second of the specials. And yes, woke gone mad. Isaac Newton was not a white gentleman. I suppose we should have been pleased he was a gentleman. But anyway, no, he's not a white gentleman anymore. It's woke. And what else was it? Oh yeah, and Bernard Cribbins was it. And I'm like, he's dead. So in the first episode, the doctor asked Donna how her granddad was. And she said, oh, he's still with us, but he's in an old people's home. And I thought, oh, they're just saying that so that the kids don't get upset because he's dead, because he's died. Anyway, this episode, spoiler, finishes. Well, it doesn't finish, but the TARDIS appears in London, and who's sat in a wheelchair directly outside the TARDIS? None other than Bernard Cribbins. And you're like, what? How's he done that when he's dead? So you're like, AI. Or maybe he filmed it knowing he was going to die ages ago. But no, it's all part of it. And it was just... it's 5 centimetres a lot. I'm asking for a friend. I don't know about centimetres. I mean, I know that that is 8 inches. Yeah, that's 8 inches. So, yeah. 5 centimetres must be about that much. So, no, it's not a lot. Genius. But yeah, it was... but no, it's the last scene he ever filmed for anything. And he loved Doctor Who. If you've ever seen the old black and white movies from the 1960s, he was in that as a young man. He was a companion. And I thought it would have been funny if they'd have had him remember being fighting the Daleks when he come back in it again. But then I don't know whether they killed that character off. I can't remember. But yeah, it would have been funny if they had done. Right. Have we got anything going on in the world that we missed earlier? Dum-de-dum-de-dum. No, Scottish was perfect for a dream on. Cybertruck, Iceland volcano. Oh, there we go. I was on about Iceland and the volcano. Iceland volcano. 120 earthquake strike Grindavik. Anticipated imminent eruption. To be fair, it's been imminently erupting for quite a while. But also, to be fair, in the scheme of things, even though it's been a couple of weeks now, for the Earth, that's literally like seconds, because obviously the planet's been around for that long. No, Strictly's Claudia Winkleman and Tess Daly devastated as they address Nigel Harman's exit. He was one of the contestants. I don't watch it, I'll be honest. Sergio Perez given serious warning or accept his Red Bull reality. Thames Water could run out of money by April, auditor warns. And it wouldn't surprise me if they actually ran out of water as well, even though it's done nothing but rain in months. So anyway, that is it. So a big shout out to the people who've been on. We've had 28 views, but I've only been on for a short period of time. Normally it's about 2 hours long. This has been about an hour, 59 minutes and 17 seconds apparently. So Now it's 23 seconds. I don't know what's going on. We've got 8 people on currently. We've got 4 likes. We've got an average view of 9 minutes 34. Chat rate of 6. So you've been very chatty. So a big shout out and thanks to Alan Barton, Angela O'Kane, JT and Rachel. JT, it's not your break time yet. It's only been an hour and a bit. Sean J, Kieran Maguire, Student Weir, and where's he gone? Cristiano Ronaldo, no less. It's 5 centimeters a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Anyway, yeah, that is it. So yeah, it's going to be, I'd say, quite a brief one today. Hopefully we'll get back into normal over the next couple of weeks. The Philippines have just had an earthquake, so even more breaking news. We've got breaking news of the breaking news. We've got more breaking news about the breaking news. More breaking news. There's so much breaking news that it's going to break the news. So anyway, yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you still are, don't forget we do this every week. And hopefully you either agree or disagree with me, but feel free to disagree. We can have a chat about it. 7.8 magnitude. And I will see you all again. Well, I'll be seeing you again next time. Until then, thank you for watching. And I'll go start silence right now. Bye! Oh, it's made me laugh. That's funny, isn't it? Yeah. 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 Evil laugh. I'm practicing for when I'm a Bond villain.